Hello everyone, Jackie Edwards here, ready for day 3 of our 5-day challenge to get 20 leads in 5 days. I know we're well over that in the examples that I've been pulling together. I think we had 44 the first day and 94 or something the second day, which apologies about the video yesterday. So again, I'm just learning the technology a little bit. So had a little blip where when I switched to sharing my screen and turned off my video, turns out that it doesn't do the volume then. So I was talking away, but that wasn't getting shared. So you just saw that. So I did re-record that today, and I posted the re-recorded video in the comments to the day 2 video. You can still watch the day 2 video. The information's all there, but then you can also watch kind of the additional video as well. So definitely have a check out of that. If you've got any questions or comments as we go along, let me know, because I'm just looking down at my screen here, getting to the right place. So if you've got any questions or comments, let me know. And as soon as you can, there is a little bit of a delay on the recording. So what I'm talking, a little bit delayed for when I actually see the responses that I get from you. So the sooner you get any questions in there, the easier it'll be for me to answer them without having to have long pauses while I wait for people to ask questions. So that pretty much is the introduction. So today we were working to get the list of licensed HMOs. So again, I've been showing you kind of tweaks on how you can work it for serviced accommodation. So with our first 2 strategies, Coventry and Spare Room, you can look at accommodation properties that way. If you are doing service HMOs, there's probably not much in the lead generation for today that's going to work for you. So this is specifically just for HMOs, whether you're doing kind of long-term normal tenants or rent serviced accommodation HMOs. That's what we'll be able to focus on with today's, because what we're going to look at today is getting the list of licensed HMOs from your local council. Now, some councils are easier than others. As you'll have seen from the example that I posted in your email that you got today, we looked at 3 different councils. Some are a little bit easier. So Sheffield, they've got the list available on their website. Coventry, you had to kind of check in with them and message them after. And Oxford has the list as well. So other councils, I know people that have had to actually go in physically to the building, and they were able to like write down from the council's book all the licensed HMOs. So they were able to like write it down address by address by address. Other councils tell you they can't provide a list at all. Some of them, it's easier than others depending on their technology. Technically, this is public information, so they have to provide at least the address of the licensed HMOs. It's just like planning permission. So if a house is applying for planning permission, it's public information. Everybody gets to see that application. Everybody knows that planning permission is being applied for. So HMO license are exactly the same thing. So the council does have to tell people that which houses have HMO licenses. Now, they don't have to give you the owner's contact information. And a lot of councils are stopping doing this just because so many people have been mailing them or mailing the owners, and the owners have been complaining. So I know my council specifically says on the website, or at least it used to, that you're not allowed to use that list for marketing purposes. So the councils are starting to catch on. This is quite a common strategy, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be doing it. It still works. It was the best strategy for me to get my rent to rents. I know people that are still getting rent to rent just for rent to rent. You can get any other kind of property deal if you're looking for HMOs, so lease options, BMV deals, just general buy to lets from using the HMO list. So I know people that are still actively getting deals this way. And so it's going to be slightly different for every council. Every council is going to have a different number of HMO lists as well. So you just have to try it out in your area. Now, once you get the list, you do need to be sending them letters. This is where your budget comes in. So you're going to want to know how much you can spend upfront on your marketing for your rent-to-rent business, because sending letters can start to get expensive. Even if you're doing it yourself, you have to have envelopes, you have to pay for printer ink, paper, and the stamps. I did all of mine myself initially. I bought my envelopes from Amazon. I used second-class stamps, and I hand wrote all of the envelopes myself. I recommend handwriting the envelopes and using colored envelopes. You want these letters to stand out, especially if you're sending them to the HMO and not to the owner's address. So the more you can make these stand out, the better chance you have of the letter, first of all, getting to the owner, because the tenant is more likely to pass that letter on to the owner if it's in a bright colored envelope, handwritten with private and confidential for the owner only on it. So he is more likely to pass that on than just something that comes in a pre-printed white envelope that looks like every other bill that gets sent there to the owner's address. Now, I know it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time, and it's not very fun to write envelopes. I know I did it myself. My partner used to come home from work, and I would be there, and I couldn't even move my hand anymore because I had just written so many envelopes, and it was just horrible. But I did it, and I persevered. Once I got more experience, once I had a few properties up and running, I outsourced that. So I had a local personal assistant company, a local VA company, write my envelopes for me. But I always had the handwritten envelopes. It just kind of makes it more deliverable and more likely to be opened. So that being said, because we're not here to talk about what to do after we've got the leads, we're here to find leads. So I am going to share my screen with you. Let me see if I can get this going. And we are going to look at Sheffield. So if you just hold on while I just make sure everything looks okay on the live screen, because once I start sharing my screen, it all goes wrong for me in the background of the system, so I can't actually see anything. But this is Sheffield's website. So we can see from their website, I've just gone to like their main homepage, which is where you're going to want to go. And all you need to do, so oftentimes I'll just go to their website and I'll type in HMO and do a search and see what happens. So with Sheffield, we can see planning permission, houses, licensing, controls, approved student housing. So I'd click through these and see what I could get to. So let's look at the licensing one. So it gives us information on licensing conditions. And then over here in the supporting information and standards, we can see licenses issued to November 2017. Now, if we click on that, I did it a little bit earlier. So this is the screen that we get. So we can see, it's quite funny because last year when I did this exercise, the council had a little note saying that they were really behind in processing all of their licenses. So there were only 10 on the list. This year, there are 55 pages and there's about 30 per page. So there's about 1,700 on the list. So these are your leads. So if you are in Sheffield, you basically hit the jackpot here. You've got 1,700 leads on your list. So I'm going to switch this screen around a little bit so that maybe you can see it better. Yeah, so you've got about 1,700 on your list that you can contact. That is absolutely massive. This is going to take a long time, so I would suggest sending about 100 letters per week. Now, you will notice that it's just giving you the HMO's address. So you don't have any landlord details. You don't have any information about the owner of the property. You've just got the licensed property. So what I would suggest in this situation is get started, send letters to all of these. or send letters, because you can see the street name and postcodes. You can see the number of people that are allowed to live in there. You know, you might not want to write to the one that has 25 people living in it, because, you know, if you're just getting started, that might not be where you want to start. It's also, to me, properties that are that big are probably run by an institution or a company already, so they're less likely to do a deal with you than a private landlord with a slightly smaller property. So either get going and start writing to all of them, or pick the areas that you want to focus on and get letters out. And then what you can do to get the owner's address, so if there's specific properties or areas that you really want to focus on, you can go to the land registry and you can search for that property's address and you can get the owner's name. And ideally, you'll get the owner's home address as well. Now, sometimes they'll have registered their address as the HMO property. That happens. But ideally, it will be their home address so that you can send a letter directly to there. Now, the downside is it costs £3 every time you pull up the title deeds from land registry. So again, you want to make sure you understand what your budget is for getting your rent-to-rent business up and running, because you'll have to add the cost of sending the letters plus the cost of land registry if you need to do that. But otherwise, you can send it directly to the HMO's address. Just make sure that letter stands out, so there's more of a chance that they'll pass it on to the property owner. So for Sheffield, like, this is our search for today. We've got 1,700 potential leads. I mean, now we've really blown the 20 leads in 5 days out of the water, because we've got 1,700 right here, just kind of ripe for sending letters to and getting viewings and potential deals from. Now, if you're not in Sheffield, or if you're in a council that's a little bit different, I've also had a look at Coventry. So we can see we're at coventry.gov.uk. Again, all I did, I went to their homepage. I searched HMO. They've got a houses and multiple occupation page. Again, they've got more information on licensing. And then at the bottom, they've got a link that says public registers. So they don't provide you a list that you can download, but they've said a public register of HMO licenses is available to view by email. So you can just email them there. So not quite as easy as Sheffield, but all you need to do is send an email and tell them you'd like to see the public register of HMO licenses. I'd keep your email super simple. Don't go into long explanations about why you need it and what you want to do with it, anything like that. Send them a simple email. I would like to see the public register of HMO licenses. Done. And then they will send it back to you. And they'll probably they might send you a bunch of information as well, but that's all you need to do there. And you can have a look at Coventry. Another one, we've got Oxford. So what I do here, let me go to Google. So anytime, I never remember Oxford's website name. So if you're just looking for your city, I usually type in Oxford. You can see I type Oxford HMO quite a lot. So I type Oxford HMO. They've got, here's all the different pages Oxford has about HMO licensing. You can see there's one, register of HMO licenses. You can see it's already purple. I do look at this quite a bit. And we maintain a list of them. Click on registered HMO. So it takes me to an Excel spreadsheet. Oh, sorry about that. The flowers next to me are really, really strong smelling. They activate my hay fever, but they're so pretty. They brighten my life up in winter. I love them. So anyways, so here is the list for Oxford. So if we go down to the very bottom, we can see that there's 3,137 properties on the list of licensed HMOs for Oxford. So there's loads and loads and loads of them. Again, it doesn't give you the landlord's information in this list. It just gives you the property's address. Now, this is way easier than when I got started. I had to kind of go through all kinds of maneuvers and get in kind of the back end of the system and all kinds of craziness to get the list. And I had to go like one by one through the properties. It took me ages and ages. And I actually had to hire somebody to help me with that, a virtual assistant to help me kind of pull all that data together. But again, you've got the address of the property, tells you how many occupants. In Oxford, it tells you how many units. So this kind of helps you decide if there's a couple in one of the rooms. So this one has 2 units and 3 tenants. So that means there's 2 bedrooms. So there's a couple living in there. Just in case just more information. You can see the dates of the licenses. In Oxford, most licenses expire after a year. They've just implemented some schemes that are 2 years or 5-year licenses, but most of them were expiring after 1 year. So constantly renewing our licenses. Now, the thing about the list is it's current as of the date you pull that list up. So if they're still processing some applications, they won't be on this list. So if it's a new application or a renewal, it's not going to be on this list. So I recommend that you try to get this list maybe every 2 or 3 months, and you'll be able to kind of get the new ones that are coming on, or any renewals that might not have been there when you initially got the list. So that way you can just kind of keep an eye on all of the new properties as well. So if I go back and try to figure out how to turn it back to just my video. Go here. There we go. That's just me now. A little shot of the back end of the system that I'm using to go live. Yeah, so that's pretty much what you need to do today. Again, this was the best strategy I had for getting rent to rents. I'd say, I don't know what, 90% of my HMOs came from the list of licensed HMOs. So it came from those mailings. I guess indirectly 90%. So maybe 70% came from that. And then I've had a lot of word of mouth referrals as well. So this is a really great strategy. Don't be afraid. Even though lots of other people are sending letters, you need to be sending them too, because if you don't send a letter, they're not going to call you. They're going to call somebody else if they need to. But as long as you're sending letters, it's all about the timing then. And if that landlord is ready, so maybe their tenants have just given notice, or they're rethinking and having, you know, a new plan for 2018, and now they're just considering doing something different with their property. If your letter gets to them at the right time, then they'll give you a call. If they don't need it, they've got tenants and they're perfectly happy with how things are going, they're going to throw your letter in the bin. That's just how it is. But if you're not sending a letter, you've got no chance of them contacting you. They're going to call somebody else when they're ready. So I would suggest you're sending letters kind of every 4 to 6 weeks to these properties, so that you're always kind of at the forefront of their mind. You're always ready to kind of catch them if anything changes in their situation. Send them as often as you can within your budget and, you know, the amount of time you have to be writing letters, because it can be demanding, and you'll also have to test it. So again, I was sending about 100 because when I was doing it, I was getting about a 10% response rate. So for every 100 letters I sent out, I would get 10 calls. That was about all I could handle in a week, was, you know, setting up 10 viewings, getting out there, analyzing 10 new deals, plus the, you know, the agents I was doing viewings with. So the response rate might not be quite as good as that anymore, but it's up to you to find out, because different areas will be completely different. And again, I know loads of people that are doing this successfully. So send your letter out, make it stand out, make it attractive, outline the benefits that you have for that owner. So don't just talk me, talk here's what's in it for them, and you will have a lot more success. So that's it for today. I don't see any questions in our live comments, and I had a look at the Facebook page beforehand, and I mean, I answered a couple of questions that were posted in there earlier, especially the one notifying me that I had no sound on the video from yesterday. So yeah, I don't see any new comments. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. I hope that you are still following along and getting things done. This is the best way to kick off your 2017. Oh, one more thing. I have just launched, I have just opened up my membership site. So if you are interested in really kind of ongoing assistance for your rent-to-rent business, including ongoing time to ask Q&A with me live, then check out the VIP group. If you're able to join in the next couple of days, our next live VIP call is next Wednesday, so a week from today. So if you join before then, you'll be able to jump on the next live call and ask me questions directly about anything rent to rent. So that's probably the best part of the VIP group, is you've got monthly access directly to me. There's also loads of comments that I don't share with my kind of outside of my membership group, basically outside of my VIP members. So we have content going through the 5 stages of a rent-to-rent business and quite a few downloads. So again, if you're looking for HMO letters, marketing documents and stuff, those downloads are all available in there. So yeah, if that is of interest for you, I will try to post the, let me see. Let me post the link in the comments. There we go. There's the link that should take you right there. Let me just make sure that works before I advertise it everywhere. Yep. So that will take you to the page where the membership is, so you can check out what's on offer, listen to me chat away in a little video, and come and join me because there's loads of information there. I only open the membership up a couple of times a year because I want to make sure I don't have too many members so that I can focus on what's going on with all of them. So anyways, good luck with your HMO lists. Hopefully you've got them or you're in the process of getting them. And stay tuned at 7:30 tomorrow morning. You will get your next email with day 4 strategy. God, the week's almost done. It's amazing. It's gone by so fast. So anyways, thank you for joining me today, and I will speak to you again tomorrow. Hopefully this will stop. Sorry if you're still watching me sit here. There we go.